Hello everybody, this is Easy Mode Gurpums, bringing another Marine Arena tutorial. Sorry this one took so long, I had to do with school and finals and whatnot, but anyways, let's get on with it. First of all, this is going to be every elite and what it does, so long as I can fit all that in one video. But let's start with test mode. This is test mode. As you can see, I've got 100,000 minerals and 126 gas. You can buy every single hero, you can get every single upgrade, you can control the AIs and upgrade them and whatnot. And you do this by creating your own lobby, and don't open it to the public. You have to hit make lobby instead of hit play when you're on the Marine Arena screen in the arcade. And I just add a bunch of AIs and it automatically makes a test mode. I think you can just leave it empty and type dash test mode when you get in, but I prefer this way because then I can have AIs to spawn immortals and whatnot. But anyways, let's start with the Corruptor. The Corruptor is super useful unit. You should use this one a lot because Duskwings are so popular. Duskwings, these counter basically air elites. They're not really for anti-air armies. Like, you don't want to counter Mutalisks with Corruptors. You used to be able to do that, but they were nerfed pretty heavily. Anyways, they counter Duskwings really hard, Ravens pretty well, Battle Cruisers, Mini Mothership it's okay versus Ravens, but Ravens have point defense drones, so they usually get away. Mini Mothership is okay versus, but I usually see Vortex go down, and so I end up just killing those with my army because they're too slow. Anyways, the Corruption ability is super strong. There's really no reason not to even have Corruption down on an army really late game if you've got no other elites, because 30% damage on a huge AoE with 25% slow. Not only, okay, first, early game, if you got, say, a bunch of Reapers and there's a hero bothering you, you can slow it down as it's fleeing and pick off heroes like that. You can just slow down armies and pick off all their units as they run away. You can just A-move at people who are 30% higher damage than you and whatnot, and you'll still win. It's really overall a fantastic ability, and I think it should be nerfed, but whatever. So that's the Corruptor. They also have really high health to start with, so they can take a little bit of sharpshooter and marine fire if you fly them over the army that has the Duskwings and whatnot. So that brings us to Vikings, which a lot of people think Vikings are eclipsed by the Corruptor, but I disagree. Vikings, they were put into the game by Relic just recently, and props to Relic for this unit because they counter Ravens. Because like I said, Ravens have that point defense drone, which blocks projectile attacks. You'll notice these guys have 8 points. I believe that is 6 starting damage. So you've bought a Corruptor, you've countered some Duskwings or something. Then you see, oh, look at these new Vikings. Let's try them out to counter these Duskwings that are annoying me and whatnot. And you see that has 6 damage, and you never buy them again. That's because you don't notice that when you upgrade their attack, it scales very slowly. The 8.6 from 6 with 6 damage ups. It scales very slowly, but the weapon speed is 0.14, and basically the more attack upgrades you get, the faster it'll fire. And it also, you'll notice the 13 range. Yeah, Ravens can't touch you with these. The Seeker missiles will never go down on you. The turrets won't attack you. It'll eat through the point defense drones. If you get 10 attack, this thing will be firing like a machine gun. And it's got these little missiles. Oh, it also does 2 attacks at once. And it also has armor penetration. So you're thinking, 8.6 armor, I'll just grab a couple armor ups and it'll be useless. No, it has armor penetration. It'll go through the armor. So that's really useful. Also, the ground mode is kind of meant to counter Reapers. It has very high damage and higher range than Reapers, and a pretty fast weapon speed, and it's not affected by flashbangs, so that's interesting. And they do pretty good DPSing. As you can see with 6 attack ups, it's got nearly 50 damage. They used to be able to one-hit Marines, but Marines' health got buffed. So that's Vikings. You can have 2 of these guys. Oh, I think you can have like 10 Corruptors or something stupid high, but Vikings are limited to 2. Duskwings. You've probably seen Duskwings before. Duskwings are a fantastic unit. Really, you could probably get to like 30% win rate, 35% win rate, just going Sharpshooter Duskwing in a pub every single time, because they feed so well. They have massive splash, 7 range, 2 attacks that do 44 damage. This is with 6 attack ups, obviously. And they're actually pretty easy to micro. What I do is I have my army on 2. I'd suggest having your army on 1. It's just easier. I have my army on 2 and I have my Duskwings on 1 or 3. And you can just back them up. And you just tab over the 1 or 3 and back them up anytime there's a Corruptor coming at you. And that's basically the extent of the micro. You might have to pull them back sometimes when, say, like, they run up. They're pretty fast, so sometimes they'll run ahead of your army or whatever, and you'll have to back them up. But that's no big deal. They're pretty easy. They feed massively. You've probably lost to them because they can just outfeed you in a public game super easily. That brings us to the Raven. The Raven is a more, I don't know. This is a more popular unit with like really high level players. Like in scrims, that's when you have four pre-made teams, usually all like 65 to 90% win rate. So that's because they're pretty safe. Like pre-Viking, they were actually pretty hard to lose if you had a nice amount of mass because you could point defense drone and turret or seeker missile the Vikings, or not the Vikings, the Corruptors. And the seeker missile used to feed fantastically. Point defense drone is awesome for blocking the turret shots if you're going air. So if you want to snipe a compound, you just drop down 2 point defense drones like that, and yeah, immortals aren't affected by them. So yeah. Anyways, the turrets are pretty good early game. They're fantastic for taking the tower. Turrets count as units. If you can lift them with grav beam, you can like stun them, you can fungal them and storm them, and they can hold towers. They're basically just counted as units that can't move. So they're really good for taking towers because you have like what 400 health beginning game and do 24 damage with 0.15 attack speed. So that's pretty strong. But late game they don't do that much, and I wouldn't suggest putting them in your army because that'll take away from your army's DPS if they're trying to move around that or whatnot. And they don't tank that well, unless you stack a ton of health ups. Then they're pretty good. Medevac, one of my favorite elite units. I don't have any units to show you this with, but you can pick up a ton of units. 25 units, I believe. 25 units. And then drop them wherever. Useful for taking towers. If you're really high in the lead, you can just take all 4 towers if you have that good of map control. They heal, and it has a 50% damage reduction. That's really useful because you can see they've got 400 health. So that's not that much. Like you get a Corruptor that's got 750, and it'll do 60 damage to you. Nope, never mind. 94. I think it starts at 80, not 60. But it won't do that much damage because of the damage reduction. So it didn't do 94 damage in 1 hit. It did 94 damage in 2 hits. And 2 base armor, so they can take a lot of marine fire with that. The healing, I believe, was changed to scale with upgrades. I don't know the exact numbers on this, but it no longer has a flat healing rate, so it's actually pretty effective late game, but just about the same amount of effective early game. So I would suggest getting that anytime you go Marine, Tech Marine, or Tech Marauders, or Destroyers. Because all of those has stim packs, and this AoE heal is very helpful. They also were changed a while ago, this is a long while ago, to have the healing beam. It didn't used to have that. If you don't want that, just click this, and then it'll just A-move around. I don't like this because I can't keep it in my army key without having to tab over to it and pull it back anytime I A-move somewhere. So yeah, that's the Medevac. The Overseer. The Overseer is my favorite elite unit. It's really slow right now because it doesn't have the elite ups, which we'll get to. Changelings, super powerful, because they can, versus people who are unsuspecting, the Changelings are so much fun. You can just get a bunch of them, and if you get them in the middle of their army, you can just like one-hit a bunch of tier 3 units. Let's see how much damage it does with 6 attack ups. 150 damage, that's pretty good. I mean, you need a couple of them, but they're only 40 energy. People never see them coming if you do it right. Spread creep. Every single unit is affected by this. Common misconception: only Zerg units are affected, like in ladder. No, see the sharpshooter has plus 1.6. Transfuse, really helpful if you're a lot of people, their command center will get low from a marine drop or something. They'll get a medevac to try and heal it. No, don't do that. Get an overseer. Transfuse, super helpful. If you've ever gone hero, you've used it in the middle. If you've ever gone an elite, you've used it from the middle. This has it also. It's flying. You can move it around. Say you're harassing with your elite units, like these guys right here. So he's getting damaged. Oh no. What a shame. I can just transfuse him. Whatever. Doesn't matter. So, Overseer, and that's the worst ability. The main ability you're going to be using for is Contaminate. Contaminate is amazing. Late game, Overseer can be your saving grace versus heroes and elites. Contaminate, 110 energy, not too bad. It will stun it for 2-3 seconds, I don't know, and it can't move or use abilities or do anything. And then it'll leave the creep slime stuff on the unit for another 12 seconds so that you can't chain stun with 2 Overseers. Yeah. So that's what the Overseer does. You can see I'll just stun this Immortal. I'll try to move it, and can't move. Then now it can, and 3 seconds. 3 seconds. So that's the Overseer. You need to have the upgrades, the elite upgrade, to use it well because it's so slow. Like, an Infestor can outrun it. So, yeah. Sentries. Sentries, super useful. I don't know why I keep saying that. Every single elite is useful. Except maybe tank. Nobody likes tanks. Sentries. They don't do, like, hardly any damage. They keep the tickle beam from ladder. They're pretty useless. But, Force Field. Really good for cutting off units. You can snipe stuff like Ghosts, Commandos, Reapers by force fielding like that, and then start stepping your army into it and killing it. So they're pretty good for sniping stuff if you're good with them. G-Shield, I'm sure you've used G-Shield if you've used the middle. 25% damage decrease, and then 2, so it's basically like adding 2 armor and then 25% damage decrease, so that's really strong. Supportability. Force Field, super good for cutting off people's escapes, super good for cutting off people's whatever, I don't know, anything. Holding mid with these late game, like during sudden death, can be super annoying for a melee player. Basically, like if they're going melee tech Rhine late game, you force field the ramps, they can't get up. It's awesome. I've had it done to me, and it's the most annoying thing ever, especially if you're in the lead. That happened to me just last night. I was in the lead and couldn't take middle. So sentries, they're really good, but you have to be good with them. I'm honestly terrible with sentries, so I don't use them very much, but they're tons of fun. Reapers, probably my favorite elite unit. These guys are awesome. You can harass with them, they're super fast, they do decent damage, they're really good versus Marines and whatnot. You get the elite ups on them, they'll have 8 range. So this is what I like to do, I'll stutter step with them and harass Marines and whatnot. Force their... Oh, okay, you don't want to harass 6 attack immortals, but whatever. Really good versus Marines. You've probably seen them used, they feed fantastically. Flashbang, that's what I was getting to. Flashbang, it decreases their range by 1, so you'll have an extra line of units firing versus them, which adds a lot of DPS to you, and it also blinds units. Blinding units doesn't usually do that much because they can't, like, I don't know how that vision is here. Whatever, test mode, I guess. Anyways, blinding units isn't usually that useful because there's always units next to them that can see, because you can't hit an entire army with 3 flashbangs. Well, I mean, you can, but it's hard. So mainly what I use flashbang for, aside from decreasing range of armies, which you do want to do, but flashbang those Rambo DTs, people who just run their DT around without an army, flashbang that, and it's hilarious. People who don't know what's happened, you can sometimes get the kill off. Other people will be like, oh snap, and blink away, or drop a scan. Either way, it's really good for making them go away if you don't have a scan and whatnot. So I like doing that. Oh, you can have 3 of them. You used to be able to have 4, but whatever. Tank. Tanks don't see much use, even though they gotten buffs. 108 damage, okay, they actually look like they'd feed pretty well. I haven't used one in ages. Mainly what people do with them is here. Now what? Actually, somehow the Immortals had vision up here, but we'll try it anyways. What people will do is they'll drop them over here, and they'll have their army all over right in here. Oops. And they'll harass the compounds like that. Also, they got decent splash. So you can see versus structure, it's nerfed. It used to have like a massive buff versus structure, but basically they were used for nothing but camping compounds. And so this is super annoying if you're turtling and somebody gets a tank. But usually people will just kind of get like a commando or a ghost or a phoenix or basically any hero ever or elite that can snipe this. Or they'll just save Ryu on this cliff or whatever. They don't see that much use for actually just feeding because they're slow and obvious and everybody tries to A-click them. I swear, when I go tank with my army, I end up having to back it up half the time because public game players will just be like, ah, look, a giant tank, let's click it. No, you don't want to do that. I mean, they'll just back it up and you'll run into their army. So, I guess you could use it as bait. Yeah, that's tanks. In my opinion, they're not that good. Sorry. This is the Ghost. Ghost lost its snipe a while ago, but they are amazing still. They feed fantastic, so you can one-hit Marines with them. You can get 150 kills on a Ghost pretty easily before it dies. They're kind of, for me, they're kind of like buy and forget if there's nothing you need to EMP, because they have 8 range, as you can see, so they'll stay way in the back of your army. So I'll be like focusing on my Reapers or something and have a Ghost with them, and the Ghost will just feed and feed and feed, and if there's anything cloaked, it's first on my army tab, so I don't even need to tab over usually, but I can always EMP them. If you've never seen EMP, I guess you don't play ladder then. Takes away shields, and it'll decloak cloaked units. Oh, they have cloak. They're also really good for focus firing elite sound, because you can see that 804 damage. Or, what am I thinking? 108 damage. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shots to kill it. Not so bad. So that brings us to the mini mothership. Mini motherships, they're pretty awesome. Cloak your units. You know, it costs energy to turn on the cloaking field now, and I think it stops. Yeah, it takes a bit of energy now, because it used to be you could cloak like everything and then still vortex everything. Cloaking units is really useful if people don't have scans. You can make them run away, or if they just want to try and focus fire it, they'll run into your army and you can just back it up and they'll feed you tons. So don't do that, guys. Vortex, I don't want to wait for Vortex's energy to regen. I might do that later. You've probably seen Vortex if you played ladder also on Wings of Liberty. It sucks all the units in and whatnot. They have this Purifier attack beam. It doesn't. You'd think that 6 attacks with 24 damage would be pretty good, but I think it's the slow attack speed that makes it not that effective. So, mini motherships, they're fun. I don't think they're that good anymore since they got nerfed of their energy for the cloaking field. Mass recall is fantastic. This is also on support tower. I don't have a support tower, so I can't show you that. But it costs 200 energy. You basically just get this big box that recalls everything inside of it that's yours to underneath the mothership. So if I was about to lose all these elites, I could just mass recall it over to here or whatever. And that's our... Oh, here, Vortex is up. So, Vortex. That thing. They'll be invincible for a little while, because people used to run Banelings, Firebats, or Reavers in with them. So you'll get that little blue invincibility period. That's also in ladder, but it's longer in this. Oh, I lost my thing. Alright. Battlecruisers. Recently changed. Well, I wouldn't say recently so much. They have Stimpak now, basically. Boosters. Stimpak, same thing. Fantastic feeding ability versus ground. 42 damage, really low fire rate, 7.5 range. 1,000 health. 4 armor. I mean, they can take a lot of marine fire with that. But they're super slow. What is that? 4.56 move speed? Yeah, you can chase that down with basically anything. So a lot of the times what I'll do past 10 minutes when they're really easy to kill battlecruisers is I'll just use them as giant Yamato cannons and just fly them around behind my army or over cliffs in Yamato people instead of actually A-moving them at stuff, because 1,000 damage from 4 armor seems like a lot, but with 5 move speed, not so much. 4.5 move speed, my bad. That's battlecruisers. Battlecruisers are really strong. They feed about as well as Duskwings, but they're harder to keep alive in my opinion. Elite ups. These things are awesome. Thanks to Relic for adding these. As you can, does exactly what it says in here. Range plus 0.5, damage plus 10%, health plus 25%. Exceptions: corruption range, Sentry FF range. Buy it again. Complete. Basically the same thing, just better. 600 minerals. I believe this is unlocked at like 15-minute mark, and the other one's unlocked at like 8 or something like that. So 1,100 minerals will basically net you fantastic ravens that are now have actual range on their seeker missiles. Before they had like next to no range. It'll make overseers not the slowest unit ever. 7 move speed, so now you can actually catch heroes. Yay. Oh, let's add creep again. So that's pretty cool. Duskwings, they'll do lots of damage. They'll have 8 range. Reapers, 8 range. Fantastic for feeding. You can harass with 8 range Reapers like no other. Observer. These guys don't see that much play anymore because their detection range isn't that great. And for some reason they decided to take away its 20 vision range. That was awesome. I actually used them sometimes. You used to have 20 vision range, which is nearly as much as a Xel'Naga tower. So you just had like a flying Xel'Naga tower with you. Basically the same as ladder. They have a pretty low detection range, but their detection, they're cloaked. They're kind of speedy. Whoa! They're not supposed to have move speed buff on creep. Huh, that's a bug. That was removed for all of their air. Tal'Darim Mothership. This thing is awesome. It costs $15,000. You've probably never gotten one. I don't know who you are, but you've still probably never gotten one. Um, let's see what it does here in a little. We'll see how long this takes. It's really slow. It has Planet Cracker. It has 100,000 shields and 100,000 health. The shields will disappear as soon as you use Planet Cracker. It's basically meant to finish the game when somebody's turtling. Let's kill the base defenses. There's no real counter to it other than just being really late game and having really late game units.
Upgrade complete.
I've seen it die before. If you kill it, you get 15,000 minerals and you get to get your own, so yay. They're hilarious and stupid, and it's probably not a good idea to ever get one unless you both have heroes. Otherwise, just get a hero and buff it up. Or just get awesome Marines. I don't even care. They're terrible. I don't know why they're in the game, but they work sometimes. They do work sometimes. Obviously, if you've got enough time to pool for 15,000 minerals, this isn't gonna happen. I think it needs more armor. After I lost mine one time, I was pretty pissed that this thing could even die. It's a stupid unit. It's hilarious. It's eating a savior right now. So yeah, that's the Tal'Darim mothership. I think that's all the elites. One other thing that I wanted to show you guys is this, just because this was reminded me to me in a game I just had. People like to use Storm or Seeker Missile or EMP or whatever from their anti-unit tower. If you're turtling, why are you not using force fields? Force fields are the best. So like that, I'm terrible at force fields, but look, nobody can touch your base. All you should ever use from this is Consumption, which, if you want to use Consumption, here, let's just,
Your forces are under attack.
if you want to use Consumption, don't consume a unit because you might not have enough health. Just drop a turret and do that, and you'll get 100% even without any HP upgrades. Force Field's super strong. Yamato, really good versus air, really good sometimes when you don't want to block people out. Oh, look, it killed me. Storm scales with the Tassadar upgrade, so if you don't have any Tassadar upgrades, there's no point in using this. People like to use Storm. Don't ever use Ultrasonic Pulse, it's bad. EMP, same thing. Scan, fantastic. Always scan. Always scan everything. Point defense drone, pretty much useless when you're defending a base. It's good if you have a Raven or if you have air or whatever. I think that about covers it. Actually, here's one other thing that people need to know is energy regeneration scales with HP ups. So that's really useful with Ravens. If you want to regen HP real fast, you should definitely be, or regen energy real fast, you should definitely be getting HP ups. That's something that a lot of people don't know because it's just not common knowledge, and it's really useful late game. If you've got your next HP up is 500 minerals, these Ravens will regen so fast, and you'll be able to feed really easily with these because they do decent damage with Seeker Missile. Other stuff that I missed. Yamato Cannon. It's super good versus elites. And these things will one-hit Reapers if you get a bit of damage upgrades. And same with Dustwings if you have even more damage. Dustwing Cloak. I forgot. 25% damage decrease. Turret's really good for sniping or blocking off heroes. You can see that hero damage boost. Medevac. Oh, here, let's load all this stuff in. Medevac, there's a thing that you might know this from ladder, but if you want to unload, don't just do this. That's bad. Do this, and you can move and unload, so that's really easy for drawing lines around people and flanking them and whatnot. I think I covered everything. Alright, thanks a lot, guys.